what I had said. Basically, they went on to say that Kanu deepened the absurdity by claiming that U.S. President Donald Trump never met with He never did. That was why I used it tonight for who is the editor of Nation newspaper, for goodness sake. I don't know his name. You must find his name. People must tweet those 3 pictures of the ear. The structure of the ear of Buhari, and the ear of Jubril. Tweet it to Yoruba newspaper journalists. All of them, please. I beg of you. Because my claim tonight, which I shall be making official to the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria tomorrow, is this: that you are complicit in the sending of an impostor to President Trump. The man you sent to Trump is Jubril Aminu al-Sudani from Sudan, and not the dead President Muhammadu Buhari. Trump will hear about it before this week we're going into runs out. Now they will know how serious we are. They said that I argued that Buhari's left side outer ear had a deformed lobe and a straight anti-helix, which I'm talking about, adding that those features could no longer be seen in the president's present photograph. They outlined everything that I had said. Everything I said. Instead of them to address it, they said that Kanu doesn't have a credible voice, that I'm facing trial for alleged offenses of conspiracy to commit acts of treasonable felony and other related offenses, and these are journalists that went to school. Do you see where I have issues with them? So you're telling me that somebody agitating for a separate homeland is treasonable felony, when there is no crime in Nigeria defined as such? Do you know that Binta Nyako would not hear this case for the simple reason that there is no crime? There is no crime committed at all. That asking for a separate homeland is enshrined into laws and constitution of Nigeria. Are you aware of that? But these are journalists and they went to school. They're elites. They learned that they know what they're doing. But how wicked they are, how evil Yoruba journalists are. Evil men. And evil will go soon. They tried to use the fact that a fabricated charge against me, which I comprehensively disgraced Nigeria in their own law court because of. They are writing it down to confuse the world, to make them think I am some sort of criminal. When I told them that I was going back to their law court with 2 million men, and they came to kill me because I exposed who Jubril is. Do you see Yoruba journalists? And you want me to be in the same country with these people that cover evil and lie because of money they are getting from Asarok? I cannot be in the same country with them. It is impossible. Absolutely impossible. They now talked about my disappearance and what my lawyers argued with the army in court without addressing the critical evidence before them. Unlekwanti Jubril, look at his outer ear, look at that of Buhari. Do the comparable analysis and tell me if they're the same person. If the answer is overwhelming, no. Jubril is different from Buhari. Look at the ear. Hey, Jubril will no longer come out again because every lens will now face his ear. Is he going to cover his ear? Can you cover your ear now? I'm giving the whole of the people in the zoo this very simple assignment. Take pictures of his ear. Compare that with that of Buhari, or officially released pictures of Buhari by the British government. You will see that whoever you have there is fake. He has refused to wave his hands. Let me say he's going to cover his ears. That means that Jubril will no longer campaign. Do you know why they're sending Osibajo everywhere? This is Osibajo who is campaigning. You don't know that? They can't send him. This radio station, ordained by heaven, has made it possible that Jubril can no longer campaign. If he comes out, either he exposes the palm of his hands or his ears will show. And ordinary people will take pictures of his ear. Therefore, Jubril will no longer come out to conduct any rallies for election. That is the end of discussion. It's over for them. And I told them, I will lock them down. I will imprison Jubril inside that rock. He can never come out again. Ngatu Yanga. on this noble platform, Radio Biafra. I will imprison him. He can never come out again. He's gone. They came to kill me and they couldn't. And now I am in Israel to do the will of Elohim. Mozi. Hashem sent me. And that's what I'm doing. I must do it. He said this ridiculous claim about Buhari has been repeated by others, including Reno or Mokri. Of course, one of the few that actually are brave enough to speak the truth. And my dear friend, Femi Fani-Kayode, the man who typifies the truth from that very angle of Yoruba. And that's why I say that he's not Yoruba. He must have Biafran blood in him from somewhere. I'm telling you the truth. He said, but where is the evidence? I have given you the ear. You know what evidence? What other thing do you want me to do? I've given you the evidence. The palm of his hand is not the same. His fingerprint is different from that of Buhari, and you're asking me for more evidence. What do you want me to do? You want me to go and dig out the bones of the dead, rotten Buhari in Saudi Arabia and give to you? Is that what you want? Is that evidence enough for you? You turn around and tell me that the bones are not that of Buhari. They belong to somebody else. Yoruba journalists. You are evil and evil is you. Children of Lucifer. They never addressed any of my points. Tinubu's paper, Nation, never addressed any critical evidence I placed before them. Not one. Not one. Where is the evidence? Are you blind? IPOB must send those 3 pictures this evening or this night or this morning, depending on where you are, to Yoruba journalists. Send it to Yoruba. Only Yoruba journalists, please, I beg of you. The defenders of evil. They said that News Agency of Nigeria has investigated the claim and found no evidence to support it. Imagine News Agency of Nigeria investigating something. It's like putting Dracula in charge of the blood bank. You know Dracula Namioba. You put them in charge of where they keep blood. Is that possible? And you ask Dracula that blood is missing from this blood bank. Can you please investigate? You're asking Dracula to investigate missing blood. Asking News Agency of Nigeria to investigate it. Can't you see the name? News Agency of Nigeria to investigate? Investigative journalism? A government agency to investigate? Zoo is gone. That is from Nation. That is they have debunked what I said without presenting not one coherent, logical rebuttal. Not one. That's Yoruba for you. Not one single one. Not one single one. Let us look at what Guardian paper, because I told you, Femi Adesina invited them, gave them money. All of them went back to be writing rubbish in Lagos. Nation, Guardian, all of them. That is why Nigeria can never, ever improve. Never, because they love lies. It was a futures. They said this one is an Igbo man. Cheta Wanze, probably born on the rubbish pile somewhere in Lagos, near Okokomaiko, somewhere. He goes to the village once every 6 years, spends about, from the eve of Christmas to the 2nd of January, he will go back. He speaks Yoruba more than he speaks Igbo. And his friends, unfortunately, none of them can tell him the truth. He came back to write he was the one, it's the Igbo face. I don't know, there was one fool that used to write for Sahara. What's his name? Actually, he's Igbo at all. I think he also grew up in Lagos. One of those people. I don't know why they've not given him money to write his own piece. I've been waiting for his own take on this Jubril Saga. Maybe he knows the truth. Or his evil wouldn't even allow him to sing solo as to try to defend what is clearly indefensible. This is from an Igbo man, Cheta Wanze, another lost soul in Lagos somewhere. My mama said Igbo, that brigade, you know them. I have vivid memories of the celebration in Benin City and Okori Hiosoga. They never addressed the point direct. At least I give Nation credit for going straight to address the issue. What he's trying to do is to tell you that there was Nigeria lost a World Cup match, and people were hoping against hope that FIFA would overturn the result. Basically, that what I'm saying is wishful thinking, that it is a rumor being peddled by me and other people that Jubril is your president. He said that there are three threats to this incident. First, Jubril al-Sudani is the creation of a delusional and possibly deranged Nnamdi Kanu. He said I'm a madman. He said I talked about it on Radio Biafra last year because you're wrong. You don't get your facts right. I exposed Jubril al-Sudani July of last year in my house, in my father's compound, in a video covered by the gutter media, Sahara reporters. Gutter, the lowest of the low, is there for the whole world to see. Very clear. What I said before any other human being. I said that on July. Was it July? It was July 2017. The children of light came to see me, Umu Chineke, and I was addressing them, IPOB, in my house. And I reminded them that that thing they brought back is Jubril al-Sudani. I knew before they brought him back that they were making plans. Because once we got the intel that they would not allow Osibajo to take over, I knew that they were planning to replace this very person. Are we having difficulties? Are people listening very loud and clear? Absolutely. Absolutely. We must proceed. We must proceed. They said till today they don't know what is wrong with their president. This is Cheta Nwanze writing for Guardian. And the fact that Trump said that Jubril was a lifeless being, he doesn't want to see him again. That perhaps I may have gleaned my facts from there. What he's saying in essence is that nobody should believe me. That is from Guardian newspaper. You must bear with me this evening. I must go through this sequentially to tell you what Yoruba media are doing. It doesn't matter his name is Igbo. He is Yoruba. By profession. By lying profession. He is Yoruba. They traveled to Abuja. They flew them to Abuja to go and collect money. Now, Nation came again. After the first one, they wrote another one on December the 12th. They titled it Hallucination. That I'm hallucinating. Anybody who knows me knows I don't drink and I don't smoke. I don't. Because I pray a lot. I don't drink and I don't smoke. They know that very well. But they said I was hallucinating under the influence of drugs. Those who thought the controversy over the identity of their president was over have been prompted to rethink what they think. IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu maintains that the boss in Aso Rock, the seat of federal power, is an impostor. Of course, he's an impostor, complete one. But after saying all of this, they said that there were no scientific evidence despite the facts that I presented. Are you going to change the palm print of Jubril? Can you change it? Can you change his ear? Are you going to force him to speak Fufude, which he cannot speak? So you think scientific fact is that you need to see me in a white lab coat inside a laboratory with test tube and what's it called? It's not called a beak. You know the white thing, and doing titration. Then you believe it's scientific. Do you see how they reason? And these are journalists. It's Benga or Motosho. Send this thing to him. He's the editor of Nation paper. Send it to him, Benga. He thinks that being a scientist is anybody in a white coat, in a lab, wearing goggles. Do you see how we reason in Africa? The palm print is an irrefutable scientific evidence. So is his ear. So is the fact that he cannot speak Fufude. Those are irrefutable facts on the table. Go and investigate it. Don't tell me that we are switching pictures because Buhari's left ear is on the part of his face with the mole growing, with the cancerous growth on his face. It is there. You can't change it. It is a fact you can never change or lie your way out of it. They said I was hallucinating. Another publication by Tinubu's paper. It is in their interest because Tinubu is hoping against hope that Jubril will hand over to him. How mad he is. Do you see the way they reason? So if we keep it a secret that Jubril is from Sudan, after this, Fulani will, not Hausa doesn't exist. Fulani will hand over to us, we Yoruba people. Do you see their sense? And after that, they hand over to somebody in the north. They'll be playing ping pong with us. Very sad indeed. Very, very sad indeed. Everything I outlined, all the scientific evidence at their proposal, they said Kanu's assertions and questions are curious because Buhari has put the issue beyond question. Has he spoken Fufude? Has he? Has he removed his cap? They said I shouldn't ask him to remove his cap. Can you imagine what that? These are journalists. Yoruba defending Jubril. Has he removed his cap? Has he changed his palm print? Has he changed from that of Jubril to that of Buhari? The answer is no. Has his ear changed? The answer is no. Jubril's ear is different from that of Buhari. The palm print is different from that of Buhari. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It is a big puzzle that Kanu still insists that the president is an impostor. Kanu is hallucinating. That is news. Hallucinating. You get to make sure that I need confirmation that we have tweeted the 3 pictures of the ear to Mr. Omotosho of Nation newspaper, to every Yoruba-controlled media in the zoo. I want that information, those pictures tweeted to them now, immediately, not tomorrow. Immediately. Everywhere. I want it everywhere. I'm sure that Amaka Eko must have posted it on my page. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Go there, you will see it. Incontrovertible evidence. Incontrovertible evidence. We continue on their lies. The time now is approximately 8 minutes to 9 p.m. here in the Holy Land of Israel, where Chukwukika Biama determined that I should come to continue to preach his very gospel. The gospel of redemption, not just for Biafra, but the whole of Africa and mankind. Because only Biafra can save black people all over the world, even those in America. Only Biafra can save you. Only Biafra, nobody else can. Only Biafra. By the will of the Most High. I told them that Buhari referred to somebody as Your Highness, one of his ministers as Your Highness. They said no, it doesn't mean anything. It's a slip of tongue. That's what they said. A slip of tongue. And this is the reason why I got very, very upset with Wole Soyinka, who should know better than most what I said. Instead of Wole Soyinka to come out openly to say that Jubril is not Buhari, that Jubril is from Sudan, or at least should be investigated. What he said is that is an issue of stolen identity. Now, I'm asking this Nobel laureate, who stole whose identity? It is an issue of stolen identity. Are you saying that Jubril stole Buhari's identity? Or what? What exactly are you talking about? Why don't you call a spade a spade? It was carried in the newspapers. What Soyinka said, alleged Jubril is the title. Issue of stolen identity should be taken serious. Issue of stolen. Who stole Buhari's identity? This was also carried. These are those who are trying the best they can to refute my assertion that Jubril is not Buhari. And you can see what a mess they have done of it. There is something that PDP can also do. PDP should please ask their leader in the legislature, who is Bukola Saraki, to this night or tomorrow morning, go through the documents in his possession, signed by Buhari up until December of 2016, and the ones signed by Jubril from July of 2017, and see if the signatures are the same. You can do that one tonight. That is a scientific evidence. Scientific. If Nigerian journalists are looking for evidence. I am giving them a new one tonight. Not just the ear, the palm. Go and check the signatures. They are not the same. Bukola Saraki can do that. I know he'll be afraid. They will kill him. You know, he's from Kwara State. The part conquered by Fulani people. He's a Yoruba man, but he's under conquest forever and ever. Him and his children and his children's children will live under Fulani bondage, answerable to Sokoto Caliphate forever and ever. That piece of Yoruba land is gone. Saga will understand if he's too afraid to do it. But he's a very brave man. He's a very brave man. A very brave young man, I hasten to add. Because he's nearly my age mate. Bukola Saraki. But Ohaneze will say, oh, that small boy. But when they go to Bukola Saraki, they bow down for him. But Bukola Saraki is almost my age mate. He's older than me by about 3 years. Do you see how things flow in the zoo? We shall get to Ohaneze later. Let's continue. My submission tonight is that the signature of the late Buhari is not the same as that of Jubril. QED. It is your job. Maybe journalists, they think I'm foolish. When I go and research and bring out all these facts, they take it for granted. I'm giving them an assignment. Yoruba journalists, look at Buhari's signature before 2016. Look at the signature afterwards. You said he's now well, that he doesn't require any more treatment. So there should be no anomalies or irregularities in the two signatures. The one he signed before his treatment and the ones he's now signing after his treatment. Because, you know, they will provide excuse for him as well. That is their job. Now, with the time now standing at approximately 3 minutes to 9 p.m. this evening, Ikechukwu, I want you to please play us the video of what Buba Galadima said about the occupant of Asorok. So you will hear from a house Galadima, what he said regarding Jubril the impostor. Please go ahead.
The man don't think is the Buhari me and Yinka used to. He may not be the Jubril of Sudan. Definitely, it's not the General Buhari that we used to know. I want to say publicly that him and his government are a disappointment to the Nigerian nation.
That's okay. Take it down. If it was breaking a little bit, I want the original clip posted. I think it was posted by a Nigerian Eye. Is that correct? Originally. I also want it circulated everywhere. Buba Galadima said him and his government. He never said Buhari. Him, which means Jubril and his government. He stated it clearly. It is not Buhari, they know. It may or may not be Jubril from Sudan. Understand this very well. I wish Yoruba people can take note of that. Because this Buba Galadima was once a chieftain of APC. I know what they will say tomorrow. Buhari refused to bribe him. Because of that, he now spoke against him. He said, I don't think the man in Asorok is Buhari I used to know. He may not be the Jubril of Sudan, but definitely he is not the General Buhari that we used to know. He said Yinka and I. Maybe he was referring to somebody within the audience. Very sad indeed. And I released the 6 scientific facts that the world may know precisely what to look for in the new, improved Jubril Buhari from the old one. I outlined these facts 2 weeks ago. I did not broadcast last week because I had meetings to attend. And in my broadcast 2 weeks ago, I made it very, very clear that nobody has been able to refute my claim. Not even the Yoruba girl that they paid to gloss over very serious allegations of high crimes and misdemeanors being perpetrated by occupiers of the highest offices in Nigeria. Instead, these people call it these commentators, Femi Adesina and Co. have been flying men and women into Abuja, bribing them to be writing insignificant rubbish against what I am saying. A significant proportion of those you call journalists in Nigeria are part of the problem. They are collaborators with your oppressors. And the sooner you realize this, the better. I told you 2 weeks ago that Jubril will never again wave at a crowd of people. This is also a scientific evidence. Can anybody show me in the past 2 weeks where Jubril was seen waving publicly to people? Have you seen any? It's chop knuckle now, clenched fist. The Yoruba girl said he was doing the same thing in 2015. But if you clench your fist, you also wave at the people. It's election. You must wave. You must greet people now. You must wave at the people. Because you must wave at them. Are you now telling me that waving is no longer part of meeting the people or greeting them? Because Yoruba journalists will provide excuse for anything in the world. If they can explain away the goodness of Satan, they will do it. My challenge is very simple. Those of you at National Assembly, during the presentation of the 2019 budget by Jubril, was his left ear lobe missing or not? A very simple question. I'm not sure they'll be able to answer it either. Go through the signatures of the dead Buhari and tell us if they are the same with the ones being signed now by Jubril. Let me now warn Nigeria and warn Nigerians that every document signed by Jubril, IPOB will challenge in international courts. Every document he ever signed. And then you know how serious we are. Every document ever signed since July of 2017, IPOB will challenge its validity. Since it has become customary for certain Yoruba journalists to misinterpret their own officially issued photographs of Jubril, I have decided to challenge the few courageous senators left to please go through Jubril's signature and compare that with the one of Buhari before, especially documents signed in July of 2017, when he was still learning to master the mannerisms and reflexes of the dead Buhari. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Did anybody observe the 76th birthday of Jubril, or Buhari, so to speak? Did you see any picture of Aisha and the children with this new version of Buhari? Any new picture? You know what they did? Femi Adesina issued the same photoshopped old picture. And somebody asked him, is it this only reddish oxblood dress that Zara Buhari has? The same old dress. Photoshop. Look at the proper pictures of the 76th birthday of the dead Buhari being celebrated by Jubril, and tell me if Aisha was there and the children. Show us. You see that they are missing. Instead, what they have done is to go and Photoshop old Aisha's photograph into Jubril to show affection. There was one poorly photoshopped photograph of Aisha's head resting at the back of Jubril. At the back, not on the shoulder. You know, they wanted to place it in such a way that the head would be resting on the shoulder. But it was at the back. You see, they're not very smart after all. Oluwole has a long way to go at least for once, the Yoruba journalists in Aso Rock or those in the government house covering Jubril will at least concede to one use of Oluwole that they have in Lagos Island, where they forge certificates. Now, this is another one. They said they want, you know, the thing about it is that they listen to facts, but they choose to ignore it. I am giving you another fact, and this goes to Muslims all around the world. How many times are you allowed to perform Hajj within a year? Does anyone know? I know only once in August, and then you have the what they call the lesser Hajj if you want to perform it. But let us look at Aisha's travel itinerary. From, you know, we are researchers in IPOB. Our intelligence is second to none. Let's look at where Aisha has been since December of 2016, when she traveled to Saudi Arabia to begin the arrangements of where to bury Buhari in case he dies off. Why did Aisha perform more than 3 trips to Saudi Arabia in 2017 alone? 3 trips. Lesser Hajj, big Hajj, lesser Hajj, one person. So God didn't hear the first prayer. My goodness. Do you know that the time, Elohim is marvelous. Do you know that the time that they said Buhari was in a London hospital, that instead of going to London, that Aisha was actually going to Saudi Arabia? Do you people know that? We have it. It's IPOB, that's how we work. Now let's start. Aisha was frequenting Saudi Arabia, not London. The first one was on the 6th of December. No, that's the last one, 6th of December 2017. Aisha Buhari traveled to Saudi Arabia in February. Is that not correct? They said he came back from Saudi Arabia on the 11th of February or 12th of February. Go and check it. As I'm telling you, you're Googling it. Aisha traveled to Saudi Arabia in February to go and bury the husband. Used the excuse of the bigger Hajj to travel in August to go and pray by his grave. Aisha also traveled on the 6th of December of 2017, again to Saudi Arabia. Each time she travels, they will say she's going on Hajj. And that led me to ask some Islamic scholars, how many times are you allowed to perform this Hajj? They said it's once a year. How come Aisha Buhari is always going to Saudi Arabia on Hajj? 3 times in a year. But it's a question for those who can actually reason. It's a question for those who can actually think properly. Aisha Buhari came back from Saudi Arabia on February the 11th, came back from Saudi Arabia again on 29th of August or thereabout of 2017, and also came back from Saudi Arabia again on the 6th or thereabout of December 2017. One person. Allah didn't hear the first prayer, didn't hear the second one, she had to go for the 3rd time. Is that how it's done? I have gone through their publications, not my POB, one after the other. These we are covered. Go and put the dates on Google and search for it yourself. 11th and the 12th of February, Aisha back from Lesser Hajj. 27th of August, Aisha back from Big Hajj. 6th of December 2017, Aisha back from Lesser Hajj. One person. These are the ones we know. How many more don't we know? Let me repeat what I have said about the impostor, and that is Jubril, and the fact that he will never again wave his hand in public. This was exactly what I said 2 weeks ago. Anybody representing Buhari, any day you wave your hand at us, it is bye-bye. Any day again, as I'm talking, telling you tonight, and I refer to Yoruba journalists as well. Every day I keep mentioning them. Every night I come here and mention them. You have cameras and you have smartphones. We have cameras with telescopic lenses. Any day Jubril comes out to wave his hand, it is bye-bye. He's waving bye-bye to himself and all of the zoo. And since then, he has never waved his hand again in public. Are Nigerians that foolish that they cannot just demand? Just raise, don't do anything for us. Just raise the palm of your hand, that's all. Go wabahuchu. Instead, inside the assembly, he used his thumb to cover his palm. Did you see it? He used the thumb to cover his palm, and I want that picture published of where because they will say, "Oh, did you see him waving his hand?" But he used his thumb, the big thumb, to cover. Yes, it is there. I want it published everywhere so that the world will know that Anameke Jubril Abu, I'm tying him slowly. I will confine him to Aso Rock. He will not attend any campaign. I will keep him there. I will be making fun of them. I will use Jubril to show the world how foolish Nigeria is and Nigerians at large. He can no longer wave his hand. Normally, when you're saying 4 more years, is this not how you do it? This is the way you do it. You keep your palm open. Look at the other ones doing it. He used his thumb to cover the markings on his palm so that the world will not know. He thinks he is smart. But we are smarter than them because we are IPOB. We are putting them to the sword tonight. Complete decimation of their lies and their deceits. Wherever they are now, Yoruba journalists are under the bed. They know we are not joking. I know they won't publish it, but I don't give a damn. If they like it, let them publish it. It is not my business. The whole world listens to Radio Biafra. The garbage they circulate is only within the zoo. Humanity knows I'm speaking the truth. And Elohim will always bear me witness. Always, always. Since it has become customary for certain Yoruba journalists to misinterpret their own officially issued photographs, we must continue to use the ones they publish to judge them. Their own they used to publish, we shall use it to judge them. We must continue. This is Radio Biafra. Go through Jubril's public appearances for the past 2 weeks, you will see that he no longer waves back at the public. That is key. Absolute key to what we are doing. Go back to his ears tonight and you will see that they are not the same people. Not the same at all, at all, at all. This is the conspiracy of silence from those in the Yoruba media and intelligentsia who see the issue of Jubril, the impostor, as something that must not be investigated because it will cast them in a very bad light. It will stop the Yorubas from getting the presidency in 2023, which they want very badly. And supporting Jubril, an impostor from Sudan, is their key to doing it. But we are not relenting. We are IPOB. We know unity beggars are aware of what this could do to the cohesion of Nigeria. Hence, their concerted and desperate effort to suppress the story at all costs. But we know they will never, ever succeed. I have placed incontrovertible proof in the public domain tonight. And hopefully, Jubril should pack up and leave and prepare to face jail time somewhere because he must go to prison. Jubril must. Eventually, when all the dust is settled, he must go to prison. And they know it. We come to the issue of Igbo people. When I used to say it before, some people who are my age mates that have chosen to serve Awasa Fulani Zoo ignore it. But now it's coming from a very reputable source. Let us see what they make of it. This is why we agitate. This is why we want Biafra. Because Nigerians will never ever love us. It is impossible. Uncle, not daddy. Never is impossible. There is no way we Biafrans can serve the zoo and they will love us. It is impossible. They will never do it. I liken that to the fate of the Jews all over the world. No matter that the Jews gave the world banking system, gave them Einstein, gave them the greatest inventors in the history of humanity, gave the world diamond and jewelry and all the rest of it, they still hate the Jews till today. There is still anti-Semitism till this very moment. That was why the founding of the state of Israel became inevitable. No matter what you do in Nigeria, they will never ever love you. Use Israel and the Jews as an example. Once you're blessed by God, people will always hate you. That's how life is. Even in the Torah itself, in the scriptures, in the Bible, it is there. Why did they hate Joseph? Why did the brothers of Joseph hate Joseph? Because the father loved him. That's how it is. They will always hate you in Africa. Biafrans will always be hated. Do you know why? Because God loves us. I make no apologies about it. Absolutely no. Let us look at the plight of Igbos, which is just basically a microcosm of what is happening across the whole of Biafra land. Ejo, Ibibio, Efik, Ishekiri, Urobo, Isoko, all the rest of it. It's just an example. Igbo people, almost slaves in Nigeria by Afani Fere. They are telling Ohaneze, Ndioshi, Nandiama, Ndioshi. This is the consequence of betrayal. This is the consequence of acquiescence. This is the consequences of lapping up to whatever rubbish Fulani dishes out all the time in the name of being a minister. Let me read what the news reported, not from me, not from IPOB. A chieftain of the Apex Yoruba Social Political Organization, Afeni Feraya Adebanjo, has said that Igbo people have never been so marginalized and dehumanized as they are under the present administration. This is a Yoruba man, a respectable Yoruba man, is telling us that we are slaves in Nigeria. He made this presentation at a two-day event that marked the Igbo Cultural Day in Owerri. There was no Igbo Cultural Day because we told them they cannot gather. So they met under one or two canopies somewhere in Owerri and called it Igbo Day. Nobody knew about it because if we knew, we'd go there to scatter it. And they know this very well. This Yoruba man, a very fine man at that matter, said that Igbos are slaves under this administration. But there are some people in Igbo land under this administration saying that Buhari is good, that Jubril is good, essentially, for us. This is the same administration that IPOB is fighting, that Ohaneze Ndibo with Igbo governors joined to bring Python dance to our land. Now, this comes from a Yoruba man, maybe they will listen. Let me continue to read. The elder statesman said that Igbo people have been treated unfairly in their own country. According to him, never in the history of this country has Igbo been so marginalized and denied their fundamental human rights and traumatized as they are today. In fact, never at any time has Nigeria been at crossroads as it is today, and Igbo are feeling the main brunt of it. Igbo have been completely emasculated and dehumanized in their fatherland. Emasculated and dehumanized in our own land that Chukwuka Abiyama gave us. Which or who made it possible for this dehumanization to take place? It is Ohaneze Ndibo and Igbo governors. And the most painful part of it is that some people are still talking about these expired evil men as if they have anything to contribute, when it is obvious that they are the cause of the problem. He said, such treatment has made the Igbos third-class citizens a little short of the slave era. That was why Okezi Ikpeazu could order the arrest of 52 Jewish adherents in my hometown of Umuahia for embarking on a religious procession in Umuahia that everybody else does. Okezi Ikpeazu ordered for the arrest. Do you know the funniest thing? The governor of the state is an Igbo man. The police commissioner that basically carried out the arrest ordered by Ikpeazu is an Igbo man. Listen carefully. The prosecutor charging them with terrorism and treasonable felony for marching on the road only. A religious procession is an Igbo man. The judge that refused to hear the case is an Igbo man. Tomorrow when we begin to get angry at these people, some of you idiots listening will say, oh, no, you don't love yourselves. Now nobody will want OKC. No one will want, his name is Ezekiel or whatever it's called, the police commissioner from Anambra State in Abia, doing the will of Fulani masters. People on a religious procession, you're charging them for terrorism. On a religious procession. The day we get angry and we get violent, people won't start the story from the beginning. I hope Yoruba journalists that are listening. The day we start, you will not start the story from the beginning because you are evil. You work for the devil. This is the place where Okezi Bazo thinks he can come back as the governor he's dreaming. Anywhere Okezi Bazo's campaign group is gathering, it will be scattered. Okezi Bazo can never have peace in Abia State from tonight. It's a standing order to all our units everywhere in Abia State. Okezi Bazo will not have peace. Anything he wants, we give it to him. He will never have peace in Abia State until he leaves that office. He will never have peace. Anywhere Okezi Bazo is gathered, anywhere his supporters are, they must be arrested by IPOB. That thing Okezi Bazo wants in Abia State, we shall oblige him and give it to him. As long as our men and our women are being detained at the prisons in Afara, in my village, anybody supporting Okezi Bazo is a traitor of the people and must be dealt with accordingly. From tonight, whatever the consequences are, we will bear it. Okezi Bazo must be taught a lesson that other governors will learn from. That you don't mess with IPOB and get away with it. After Okezi Bazo, we face Obiano. Everybody responsible for the death of IPOB shall pay very dearly for it. Starting from tonight, we are beginning with Abia State. Wherever Okezi Bazo's campaign group is gathered, we will destroy it. And if you're related to the commissioner in Abia State, he's an Igbo man. Warn him to desist from arresting IPOB Jewish worshippers. Adherents who don't worship, we are not Jewish, we worship Elohim. Because very soon we shall rebuild our temple in Arochukwu. We will rebuild it to glorify the name of Elohim. We must understand this. If you're related to the Igbo Commissioner of Police in Abia, tell him to get away. We have removed many police commissioners before him, and he too will be gone very soon. Abia, Omuahia is my hometown. That's where I come from. The seat of the government is on my father's property, on my father's land. IPOB will not be molested in Omuahia. The next time we march in Omuahia, I will give order for the security to confront anybody that comes to arrest our people. That thing they want to know Omuahia, they will get it. But from tonight, Okezi Bazo's campaign will be destroyed. Every vehicle carrying the pictures of Okezi Bazo will be destroyed. Anywhere you see Okezi Bazo's poster in Abia State, you will destroy it. Until they release our people. It's a standing order from me to all our outfit. Anything they want to give them from now onwards. They are like a hammer. They are mad people. We must proceed. This is Radio Biafra. The time now is approximately 24 minutes past the hour of 9 p.m. here in the Holy Land of Israel. We are doing what Elohim asked us to do. And Okezi Bazo, near word, all of them must face the music at the appropriate time. The police prosecutor in the case against our people must tell us who asked them to bring such charges against a religious group. You cannot charge Boko Haram with terrorism, but you're charging peaceful people with terrorism. Thunder would destroy all of you and your families. I'm telling you the truth. I have no pity for your children. Understand this very well. Since you have no pity for other people's children, we shall have no pity for your own children. Mad people. That thing you want, we'll give it to you this time around. Anywhere, anybody, put an hero, destroy the idiot. Okay, Zipas will not have any campaign in Abia. He's an Awasa Fulani stooge. Fulani brought him to destroy our people, and he will be destroyed. Completely destroyed. Maybe the end of the zoo, Nigeria will start from my hometown. I can assure you. You couldn't defeat ordinary, illiterate Boko Haram. Is it when IPOB picks up arms that you defeat us? Is that what you think? Seriously? Is that what you think? All of them giving you courage. Or should I say encouragement? And the rest of the criminal gang in Ohaneze. They will not save all of you. If you dare to march into our land, they will not save you. Don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say I didn't warn you. That thing you people want, you will get it now. That thing you've been looking for a long time ago. Okay, Rugo, you get it now. I am giving them 3 days to release those in detention. If they don't release them, I'm telling you the truth. Abia State will burn. I warn you, you know me, I tell you in advance what is going to happen before it happens. Okay, Zibazu. Okay, Zibazu, if you're his brother, his sister, his whatever it is. Ask Okay Zibazu to set our people free. Or else he will suffer. The same way the history of our people remembers the ignominy of saboteurs, so his name also will go down in the history books as a saboteur. I don't know who he is. And I do not want to know him. And I can never know him. I can never ever know him. Not now, not in the future, not ever. Never, ever, ever will I know him. Okay, Zibazu is biting off more than he can chew. And the time has come. No more campaign for Okay Zibazu in Abia State. Anywhere we see his campaign, we will disrupt it. To be destroyed completely. Any village hosting Okay Zibazu is an enemy of Biafra. Anybody, any chairman, anybody, I am warning you, anybody in Abia, anywhere, any traditional ruler, anybody who hosts Okay Zibazu will fall. Now you know that IPOB is serious. Mad people. I remember when Ohaneze used to boast that they released the Nnamdi Kanu from... Is that not what they used to say? But Fulani man has come forward to say that he made my bail possible. People want to draw credibility to themselves and mentioning Nnamdi Kanu. Even saboteurs. Mande kunaka, baby saboteur, and then kanami feeding bottle. And I was saying, every idiot mentions Nnamdi Kanu's name to draw relevance and meaning to whatever garbage they're saying. I don't blame them. I blame whoever created the zoo called Nigeria. This is Radio Biafra. We must proceed. I am sure that some of you know that Jubril excluded Southeast and South-South from their EFCC commission. Do you know that? And you have some fools from there saying they're from Nigeria. We are one Nigerians. Unbelievable. Charlie Boy said I was very polite to have called Nigeria a zoo. That Nigeria is worse than a zoo. Now they're beginning to realize what anything I tell you is the truth. It may sound so bitter. The same way I'm making it very clear to the world that the worst thing to ever happen to Nigeria is Yoruba journalism. Yoruba journalism. Because a coward cannot be a journalist. That's one thing people don't know. Once a coward becomes a journalist, they distort the truth. That is why Yoruba should not be journalists. They shouldn't be. Because most of them are cowards. Hunger has damaged the thinking faculty of people in the zoo. That is why they can no longer reason as human beings should. That is why things are happening the way they are happening. And I call this a useless generation. As one of us wrote, a useless generation, as somebody said. I'm sure some of you know that Boko Haram is now part of the Nigerian army. Are you aware of that? They incorporated them into the army. Of course. Nobody's talking. Systematic detention and denial of justice for people. That's Suki is still in prison. El Zagzagi is still in prison. But you have senior advocates of Nigeria. You have lawmen. You have emeritus chief judge, emeritus magistrate, emeritus son, every rubbish, every title in the book. But pronouncements of a competent court of law is not being obeyed. And you call yourselves human beings? Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. I don't know. I think that the problem with this present generation is Pentecostal churches that they attend. Pentecostalism is the problem. Where you leave everything to Elohim. Everything you leave to God to solve. Common sense you do not have. Common sense you do not have. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Okay, did you not go to university? Did you not write a project? Even when we went to school, it's expected as a university undergraduate to be a radical. In those days, Ali must go. Didn't you people read about it? Students forced the education minister Ali to resign. These days, students don't do anything. Absolutely nothing. You go for night vigil, you go for day vigil. Every day you are becoming more useless than you were before. Because of two things. Those that control you, the amount of news you get and how you are fed that garbage, are cowards. Yoruba journalists are cowards. Coupled with Yoruba mega pastors, who it is in their interest to maintain Nigeria as one. They are the ones controlling your mind. And that is why a majority of Nigerians are foolish and will remain foolish forever and ever. I have preached the gospel that Chukwuagebiama said I should preach this evening. I have given you all the facts and the evidence. What you do with it is entirely up to you. But what we are going to do with our own is very, very clear. If you know Keziba has to tell him to stay away from IPOB issues, our people must continue to praise Elohim. We must continue to worship. Our ancestors worshipped at our temple in Arochukwu before the white man came and destroyed it. I'm not talking about Tivon, but that was rubbish. That was a corruption by the Jugun people when they came to buy slaves. If you don't know, let me tell you. Our temple, Arochukwu, as the name implies, descendants of Arodi, charged with the worship of Elohim in truth and in every way imaginable, are the custodians of our temple, as we all know. So we are going back to our tradition, back to basics, the way we were as honorable men. Arochukwu temple will be rebuilt. It will be glorious and magnificent. The whole world will come there to pray and to worship. I assure you of that. So when we do what we are doing, if you ask questions, we will explain to you. We shall explain to you what we are doing. When you see Jewish worshippers or people dressed in what you call Jewish attire, for want of a better way of putting it, they are doing what our ancestors did in Arochukwu before the British destroyed it. Our temple in Arochukwu, the same way you have a temple here in Jerusalem, where we used to go to worship God Almighty in heaven. We are going to rebuild it. We shall rebuild it. Not by our own might or power, but by the grace and mercy of Elohim in heaven, that his word may continually be preached, and that redemption to come to his children. We are not seeking for any other thing but to be free. We don't hate anybody. We only hate those that hate us. And there is nothing anybody can do to stop this very much. if they have any sense in the north, in Fulani-controlled northern Nigeria, they must remove Jubril from where he is, constitute a government of national unity, or else, as you all know, there will be no elections in Biafra land, that I can assure you. Those of you who are afraid of death, prepare to die, because there will be no election. The name of an imposter cannot be on a ballot and you're asking us to go and vote. It can never happen. Not now, not tomorrow, not ever. I ask Chukwuka Abiyama to continue to guide, sustain, and bless each and every one of you, to keep you and to preserve you, that you may all see Biafra, that his will may be done on this earth as it is in heaven. From me, from here, and those in the studio, it is good evening.